If you're like me and you live in a grey, boring commuter town, you might feel as if you live in a cultural vacuum. Despite the endless stream of content and ideas being shared through our phones, many of us living in towns like Basingstoke are surrounded by depressing architecture, chain restaurants, and symbols of neglect everywhere you look. Who could create anything of cultural significance in a place like this? In this series, I'm embarking on the journey of a lifetime to find talent and artistic genius in places you'd least expect and give them the recognition they deserve. The question is, can a clone town like Basingstoke produce artists that can change the world, or have we lost all sense of inspiration for good? Let's find out. After months of intense research, I almost gave up on my search for a successful musician from Basingstoke, not including Elvis tribute bands. Till I remembered that old saying, sometimes what you're looking for is standing right in front of you. This is my good friend Josiah Price, otherwise known as Bloodlime. Having been a keen guitarist, bassist and keyboard player from an early age, it was only a matter of time before he would release his first smash hit album on December 15th, 2020, Bite of Frankie. The song you're hearing now is Beach Break, my personal favourite. For me, this song is the best introduction to Bloodlime and what his music is really about. The weeping guitar creates a sense of nostalgia, while the drums invoke a powerful hopefulness for the future. Nevertheless, the lyrics paint a bleak picture of an awkward, messy breakup. Unlike most stereotypical breakup songs, Beach Break explores an emotion that's slightly harder to put into words. Bloodlime doesn't despair or wish things went differently. Quite the contrary. The lyrics state that he wants to find a fish that's right for me, which is of course an adaptation of the popular metaphor there's plenty more fish in the sea, the fish representing potential romantic partners. So clearly he's ready and eager to move on, right? Well, to be honest, I don't think it's that simple. I think this song is trying to bring attention to the relationships in our lives that don't take the centre stage in our memories. I call these the transitional relationships, the liminal spaces of romance. These are the breakups that occurred without tears, but that doesn't mean they won't be missed. This almost uncomfortable feeling is excellently captured by the dichotomy between the nostalgic, heartfelt instrumentals and the apathetic, most cold-hearted lyrics. The rest of the album is equally well produced, with each song flowing to the next one seamlessly. Just over a month later, the next album was released. Clearly, Bloodlime had entered a frenzy of inspiration that couldn't be stopped. Funland. The name comes from a small theme park, situated on the southern coast of Hayling Island. Before even listening to the album, it is clear that Bloodlime has built upon the coastal scene theme of his last album. Here's a challenge. Try to listen to any of the tracks on this album without nodding to the rhythm. You simply can't. The fast drums along with the energetic guitars will actually conjure a merry-go-round of fun and memories in your mind, leaving any listener with a smile on their face. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We aren't kids anymore, and the years of careless fun are behind us. It is somewhat bittersweet, because as adults, having careless fun doesn't usually happen without the influence of alcohol or other substances. In the song Mechanisms, Bloodlime alludes to this, saying, "There's drugs on my desk by the side of my bed. I know I shouldn't do it because it's all in my head." All the while we are listening to the most playful, innocent instrumentals. This juxtaposition highlights the switch from childhood to adulthood and the similarities between the two stages of life. Adults use drugs to get high. Kids, on the other hand, go to Funland. The motivation for both of these activities are basically the same. It's the pursuit of happiness rather than a pursuit for meaning. Short-term pleasure over long-term fulfillment. Overall, I believe that those harrowing, raw lyrics about Bloodlime's struggle with substance abuse are all warnings. In Western society, we entertain our children by giving them iPads or sending them to theme parks and dumbed-down casinos or arcades. Is it any surprise that they turn out to be addicts like Bloodlime? The last song in Funland takes a dark and somber turn from the rest of the album. For me, it represents the sugar crash at the end of the day. It's that somber drive home from the amusement park that all kids dread, knowing that they have school tomorrow. This atmosphere is mainly conveyed by the guitar chords, which echo with nostalgia within the wash of string synths in the background. The lyrics invoke a similar emotion, however, it paints a slightly different picture. They read, "We said bye by the Ferris wheel, and you said you didn't need me, like you did before. I was passed out on the pavement when the seagulls came to get me from the floor. Got found by the beach huts, with a ripped shirt and some coffee, trying to settle a score." Clearly, Bloodlime has woken up from an eventful night out. He hints at the idea of a drunken fight, fueled by heartbreak. But now, in the cold light of day, the intense emotions have faded. They are seeping away. He is left alone to suffer the consequences of his actions. Everything hurts. This could be a reference to the aforementioned fist fight, or a physical symptom of heartbreak. It is probably both. It is this vivid imagery and raw emotion that make this song one of my favourite Bloodlime songs of all time, and by far the best end to an excellent album. We are now brought to Childish Mindset, which represented his greatest leap in production value. So much so that one may question it being classified as bedroom rock. What I'm saying is, it doesn't sound shitty enough. It kicks off with an absolute banger. Boys Will Be Boys. I truly believe that this song perfectly encapsulates the sentiments of the young adult population of today. When you listen closely, you discover how the lyrics create parallels between common childhood experiences and the struggles of adult life. One verse reads as such: "Participation, here's your trophy. For compliance, drink your coffee." Many of us come from the generation who were brought up on participation trophies, which is something that many boomers seem to love to mock us for. However, these rituals have sort of morphed into the corporate culture that Gen Z have inherited, with individuality being punished in favour of conformism. Going above and beyond is rarely rewarded, so it makes more sense to participate, keep your head down and suck up to the boss. This isn't the only metaphor in the song. Boys Will Be Boys makes repeated comparisons between childhood and adulthood, but why? I think this is likely because of the infantilization of our generation, as a result of the increased cost of living and the declining prospects of owning a home. This in turn keeps young adults stranded, living with their parents into their 30s, and in doing so, they lose their sense of independence and maturity. In a sense, Boys Will Be Boys is a commentary on how boys will stay boys, never moving out and starting their own lives. Hence the lyrics, "Starting to feel like I'm nothing." The rest of the album follows an upbeat yet reflective trajectory, with the exception of Can We Pretend to Be Friends, which takes an abrupt turn towards a genre somewhere between ambient punk and death metal. Clearly, Bloodlime is flexing his musical flexibility, perhaps providing a hint as to where his music may be headed. The most annoying thing about making a documentary about Bloodlime is the rate at which he uploads albums, which is currently quicker than I can review them. Pines. I would describe this album as a journey, rather than a simple assortment of new songs. Each song blends into the next seamlessly, and overall, Bloodlime maintains the theme throughout. The theme being, in my opinion, acceptance and groundedness, as opposed to the upbeat, fast-paced lyrics of previous albums. Here, we have slower tempos and melancholic hooks, with lyrics that draw inspiration from nature. In conclusion, I think we have discovered a true hidden gem. Bloodlime is living proof that original, high-quality art can sprout from anywhere, even Basingstoke.
Let's just get right into it.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm great right now, thank you. Do you want me to talk a bit more about that?
Tell me your entire life story in 2 words.
Immigrant. Funny.
5 words.
Immigrant funny. Trying to be different.
Wow.
You know, I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in. You know, I always wear this coat inside. That's not normal things.
So, in your song, I Want You Here, from Bright Bite of Frankium,
Yeah.
who are you referring to? Who do you want here?
I'll be honest with you, Mr. Courtois. I was having a conversation with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and she said something like, I wish you were here or something. And of course, I didn't. I was making music. I was fine. So I used that line in the song. So it's actually her saying that, not me.
Oh. Slip and Slide is such a vivid and heartbreaking song. My question is, who hurt you?
Ooh. Actually my first relationship, and I was very young when we started dating. I was kind of using the image of seeing them with someone else who makes them happier, and I'm just outside their window left to observe.
Wow. When did your heroin addiction begin, and how?
Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, the real heroines of the world.
Yeah.
Yes, I love heroines more than I love heroes, because I just think that when they're drawn in comics, they look really...
Favorite color?
Used to be red, now is green. Any shade.
Was there a specific moment or event in your life that inspired you to start writing your own songs?
Summer 2019, and I was walking back home, and I saw the most beautiful sunset, like pink skies, all the clouds were fluffy, like dusk in general. And that inspired me to write my first ever song, Dusk. I guess just that love letter to how evenings have always felt to me was crucial for inspiration, because, you know, I just couldn't not write a song about how much I loved that time of day.
What's the overall message that you are trying to communicate to your listeners?
I'll be honest with you, my lyrics don't really have meaning. Or at least the earlier albums, they never really had meaning. If you listen to stuff like Dried Out My Pen or Palm Tree House, what the fuck's that about? I saw a house that had a palm tree in the middle of it, and I thought, that's cool, that's going in a song. Pines had an overall message, kind of reconnecting with nature. I went with a more acoustic sound just because I went to Center Parks with my girlfriend, and the only thing I had was my acoustic guitar. I didn't have my amps, nothing, pedals, anything. So I just wanted something more stripped back, but at the same time, it's probably my most complicatedly produced album to date. Yeah, towards the end, you kind of like take a walk into the woods in Sticks and Stones, and I feel like that's kind of like a transition point to a state of peace. You know?
Well, I think that's all we have time for today, but thank you very much for,
pleasure.
you know, coming down to Blisk Studios and doing this, and yeah.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Coulter.